Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So in the last episode, you guys saw us install this rear deck filler panel on our 65 GTO. In this episode, I get to do something that's a whole lot less enjoyable, and that is the rear window channels. Now, I've been kind of sitting around for a few days just debating on when I wanted to start this, because it's not enjoyable, it's not fun, it's not super sexy to do whatsoever, because it's not a giant piece of sheet metal that goes on the car and makes a ton of difference. But it is definitely one of the things that you see the second you walk up here is all of these giant rust holes here, and especially looking at our exterior, it's about the last of the big, ugly rust holes that we've got. So it will make a big difference. I just hate doing this stuff, to be honest with you. So we're gonna first start like we did with the front window channels on this left-hand side. This side's a little bit different than what the fronts were. Cutting it out really straightforward, but installing this new piece, we actually have to turn it down into this lower window channel. Up here on the top side, I've got something funky going on here with this crack. So as you can see, it's kind of cracked across here. It's actually it has a vertical crack in it as well, and there's a big void right here in that corner. So I'm interested to peel that open and we'll see kind of what we're working with. I don't know if it's lead, I don't think it is, but we'll find out pretty quick when we start grinding it. Here on the other side, this is definitely the worst piece of window channel here in the back, and it's ugly looking, it's kind of scary looking, but to be honest with you, it all gets cut out and we'll replace the whole thing. Then we'll move on to the back here, and we're going to be shrinking and stretching this material a lot. We're going to break it in half. We're going to do this side first, we'll move on to that side second, but as you can see, there's a slight curvature this way. There's also a curvature which comes out that way, so that means we'll be frequenting in and out of here to our shrinker stretcher. Now, that's a problem. I'll be honest with you. I hate crawling underneath this car. I'm not nearly tall enough to go over the top rope here. So that tail panel has to go first because I'm not getting on my hands and knees and getting under the car 100 times tonight or over the next week, because I know it's gonna take a few days. So let's get set up. Let's get this tail panel out of here and make this a whole lot easier and a whole lot more enjoyable to work on. So let's get to it. you just saw, we got our tail panel removed, cleaned up, and now it's in test fit. And overall, I'm extremely pleased with the quality of this reproduction piece here. Now, the tail panel that was on here, absolutely butt ugly. And I'm so happy it's cut off here, because now, man, this looks like a brand new car. It looks fantastic back here. But just overall in the fitment, you know, there's 3 holes in the back here, which line up with the tail panel, but they're absolutely bang on the money here, okay? 3 right there. You know, we did lose a couple, you know, little bits of this panel here, but no big deal. We can reform that. We'll shape it and make it like new. Also, part of this trunk channel here got lost as well. Just, it was rusted up and, you know, cleaned it up, and that's what we're left with. So we've got to deal with it and we got to fix it. We do have 2 little tears here. We've got one on this side. We've also got one on this side. Again, no big deal. We'll sand those down, weld across the bottom of that, reshape that, and it should not be an issue at all. Same thing here though. Fitment overall, 3 holes here. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Now, I do have this panel held in place with Clecos. That way it's removable. I figure if I'm working on the car, take it off, get the window channels done, and really it should only be an issue for a couple days. But you know, I'll just tell you guys, a couple little John Deere has been known to crash into the side of my car somehow, magically. Nobody knows how it happens, but things have happened. And I want to avoid that with this car, because as you guys saw, once I cut that tail panel off, a lot of the structural integrity of the back of the car was lost in doing that. So I'll leave this on here. It's nice and firm across here. Really squares this up and brings a lot of that strength back. So, but now that that's done, let's get this thing back off the car and let's finally get to work. So I had to take the rest of the night off. Unfortunately, with recently moving, could not pack my MAP gas with me. So now is the time we're gonna have to sweat out some of the lead here that's in our lead seam, and I'm gonna show you guys why. So as I cut this out, once I got right up into here where that crack was, or at least where those 2 cracks were, I started to notice this metal starting to mush on me a little bit. That's the best way to describe what lead does when you grind it. Yeah, it just kind of turns to mush, and it's very obviously different than welding steel. So right here where this crack is to pretty much right up in here where that crack is, in between here is where our lead seam is that connects our roof to our rear quarter. Really easy way to tell. Grab yourself a magnet, okay? It's gonna stick to steel, fantastic, on the top, on the bottom, but when you put it in that lead, it's just not gonna stick, okay? Lead is not magnetic, or at least not enough to make my magnet stick here. So you could actually probably trace this around and see, you know, where your lead is versus, you know, where your steel is on here. Now, when I reach down up into here, I can actually feel where the roof and where that rear quarter transition is. And so what we're gonna do, because when I put in this new window channel, I'm not gonna be able to weld this together on this side. I'm gonna have to actually burn all this lead out of here. I'll take it probably just up into here for now so I can get these window channels done. But we've got to get this lead melted out of there so that way we can make nice clean welds for our rear window channels. So I'm gonna grab my PPE. Remember to respirator up for this. If you're burning lead, always wear a respirator. But yeah, we're gonna grab our torch and get busy. Let's do it. All right, so I got all of our lead burned out here, and it's actually looking pretty good. You can see here all this original silver tinning that's on here. It's a little bit misleading. It's not fresh, brand new metal that's on here, but it is in pretty good shape. I don't see any major burn holes or rust holes or anything like that. But those of you guys that are doing roof skins or you're gonna be doing rear quarters, this is the part where you'd start drilling out all of these spot welds and start prying and popping those out and freeing up that sheet metal and taking it out. Now here on the inside where we're concerned with, you can see here it's got that little cut right there. I think I actually cut a little bit too far with my grinder, but it kind of exposed that and opened that up. We'll simply just fill that guy up. But here on the inside, I mean, it's a absolutely straight L channel. So we'll just measure from down here all the way up to the top here, kind of where it starts to turn in at. Actually just on top of where the roof seam is there. And that'll just be a very straight L channel piece. So, pretty straightforward, guys. No magic on this one. It's actually probably easier than the front because the front actually swelled out and got a little bit skinnier towards the top, so it was a little trickier. But let's grab some metal, let's get it bent, let's get this thing welded on the car. All right guys, so we're ready to weld in the last section here of our upper window channel. I wanted to show you something real quick. Now I ran into the same issue on the other side. I don't think I filmed it, so I'm gonna show you here on this side. But as I was using my punch flange tool here, just with how thick this bottom section, it seems to get a little bit thin, kind of halfway to the further outer section here. And so it starts punching these holes that are, you know, kind of open on the end. They're not pretty at all, but most importantly, they actually miss almost entirely the piece behind them here that you're supposed to be welding to. So what I did, I ended up going back through here. I drilled these 1/8 inch holes kind of in between here, just so that way I've got really good, you know, a good surface on the back side to weld to here. For these little holes on this side, I'll show you guys here, you know, the old copper trick. Okay, put a piece of copper right up behind that panel, weld it, and you won't burn through your panel, and it also will not stick to copper. So really simple, easy trick, but a good way to fill some of those holes there. Again, not too big of a deal. All it means is a little bit of extra grinding. And as you guys know, I'm pretty damn good at grinding. A whole lot better at grinding than welding, that's for sure. But let's get this thing welded in and let's finish this window channel up. And with that, we are finished with our rear window channels. They turned out really, really good. You know, after you do the fronts, you kind of get the hang of it. The rear, a little bit easier, but still just as time consuming. And yeah, we've been at this now, I think 4 or 5 days. So it takes a long time to do it. Granted, I'm only working a couple hours each night, but still very time consuming. So just to recap, we started here with this side, went really, really well. We've got good symmetry here between both sides, across the entire top as well. Our corners worked out really, really nice here on top and on bottom. Transitions on all 4 corners are really nice. We fixed our cracks that we had up here, if you remember. Again, kind of down here, we had to build in this section. Needs a little bit of finessing. We'll do that when we get onto the bodywork side of things, but the transitions here on all 4 corners are really, really nice. We fixed this crack as well, like I said. And then as you guys saw initially, you know, I was only gonna take out some of the lead seam, but to be honest, it was a lot of fun to burn them out, and I kind of got carried away. But it's better to just start fresh, start with a blank slate. And to be totally honest, had I not burned all of them out, I would have never got to these holes that were here, which we also filled as well. So these are pretty much ready for Duraglass. So I'm not gonna be using lead on these. We'll use a Duraglass material. It's kind of like fiberglass reinforced body filler, but totally accepted practice nowadays. Most people are doing that instead of putting lead back onto the car. So we'll do that here in an upcoming episode. I've got a date with the Soda Blaster here in about 2 weeks. We got to get this car finished and ready for that. You know, now that the little pieces are all done, the intricate stuff, now we can really start jamming on the big panels. We've got our tail panel ready to go in. We've got our trunk pan coated, ready to go in. We're gonna mess with the wheelhouses just a little bit. We're gonna put some big old meats on this bad boy, so we need to make those a little bit wider. I'll show you guys how to do that. And then we've also got some framework, some frame reinforcing. I picked up a Summit Racing frame reinforcement kit for GMA body. I'll show you guys how to install that as well. That's gonna help box the frame, really strengthen it, and get it ready to run 10 seconds in the quarter mile. So, a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time. Oh, I'm gonna show you guys a little sneak peek. Those of you guys that follow me on Instagram already know, but Christmas came early. We got our parts in. So granted, that's a 69. We have a 68. We're gonna have to do a little bit of work on our turn signals, but not a big deal. But those took a very long time to get. If you want 68 rear quarters, you're gonna have to wait till probably February, March next year to get those if you ordered them today. So big lead time, big weight. Well, we got our quarters, we got our frame rails, we got everything to back half our 68 Charger. So that's gonna be upcoming. That's a reason I need to get this thing done, get it out of here so that way I can bring the Charger in and get some more material made for that. So, but with that, if you guys haven't liked or subscribed, or excuse me, if you guys have not subscribed, hit that button, definitely hit the like, also comment. Those of you guys that both like and comment on my videos are gonna be entered into a swag drawing as well. So you get some free Rust Bucket Restos merch for one lucky winner this month. So take care, guys. We'll see you real soon.